Hi friends, and welcome to the Healthy Beyond 40 show. I'm Michele, mama 4 and military wife, and I'm passionate about helping women get healthy from the inside out so they can feel better and live their best life. Do you feel like you're struggling to lose weight and get in shape? If you're ready to develop healthier habits, exercise consistently, and lose weight sustainably, then you're in the right place. I combine my expertise from my doctorate in physical therapy to my experience as a health coach, personal trainer, and yoga teacher to bring you actionable steps for a healthy lifestyle. No magic pill here, so lace up those shoes and get moving. All right, hey friends. So in today's episode, we're going to dive into sneaky ways busyness and procrastination really prevent us from doing those things we want to do to get healthy and lose weight. And sometimes under all this busyness, is that we're avoiding something or we're avoiding our feelings. So we're going to dive into this today. And I encourage you during this episode to just be self-reflective and notice if any of this is showing up in your life, and not from a point of feeling bad or feeling shame, but a point from being empowered. When we can recognize some of these bad habits and ways that we're in, that can open up freedom to us. And before we get started, I want to tell you guys about one of my favorite healthy drinks. I know the mornings can feel like a lot. Sometimes you're juggling kids, work, all the things, and then trying to be healthy on top of that. And one of the products I've been using for over a couple of years now is Organifi's green juice. So you have the greens in this. You also have adaptogen herbs like ashwagandha that really help support your body and your stress response. And you can do all this without juicing kale or spending a lot of hours figuring out greens. So you can just mix it with water and lemon, or you can do unsweetened almond milk, and sometimes I'll throw some extra protein powder in there. And you can actually give your body what it needs to feel better from the inside out. So there's going to be a link down below where you can check it out. And you guys can use the code HEALTHY20 to save 20% off your order. And you guys can use that code anytime you order. All right, so first I want to talk about what is buffering and how this shows up in our life. So buffering is what we do to numb, to avoid, or distract ourselves from uncomfortable emotions. So it's how we take the edge off when we don't want to feel something like stress, sadness, guilt, overwhelm, boredom, anger. So instead of feeling those emotions, we reach for something as a quick relief. And a lot of times we don't know we're doing this. Most of us aren't even aware that this is a thing. So for example, we might be scrolling on social media or our phone when we're overwhelmed. I've done this and I still do this sometimes. When I get overwhelmed or I'm frustrated about something, I will go on my phone. And I'm doing that as a way to buffer, as a way to numb, void, distract myself from dealing with this uncomfortable emotions and problems. Another example is eating when you're not hungry, just to feel better, because we get a hit of dopamine when we eat something, especially something with carbs, and we temporarily feel a little better. It gives us that quick relief and just a way to avoid feeling our feelings. Maybe you pour a glass of wine or have a drink after a long day because you're feeling anxious or lonely. Again, your body is finding this way to take the edge off of feeling your feelings. Maybe you binge watch a TV show to avoid having a hard conversation with someone, or to avoid feeling that stress, or to think about how overwhelmed you are. And maybe you keep your schedule so full that you never have the time to slow down, feel your feelings, get into that logical part of your brain, that prefrontal cortex, so you can actually make plans and ideas that you can stick with. So here's the thing. Buffering works, but only for a little while. It gives you that short-term comfort, but not that long term. And so when you get that short term comfort, but not the long term, you just stay stuck. So you never process that emotion. You never process what's going on. You never get into that thinking part of your brain where you can start to take different actions. It just keeps coming back. So you can see how this can be a problem. So I want you guys to pause here and think, what ways do you buffer? What ways do you numb, avoid, or distract yourself from feeling uncomfortable? And again, this isn't from like a shame standpoint. Like, we all do this, But if we can become more aware of the ways we do this, then in the moment we can pause and see what's going on. And when you have the tools to help handle those emotions instead of burying them, then you're going to have more freedom. Then you're going to be able to move through difficult feelings, different things in your life a lot more easier when you have tools to do that. All right, so now I'm going to go over 6 common ways that I see this show up in people sometimes. So the first one is the one more thing mindset. So is this you? Maybe you're finishing one more task before doing the things that you actually need to do. So before going to bed earlier, before doing food prep, before doing your workout, before doing journal work or meditation, there's one more thing that you have to do. And that one more thing mindset before I do these things that are actually really important to me are keeping you stuck in that procrastination. That one more thing is giving you a way to buffer and to avoid those things that you actually need to do. So again, notice, is this you? Do you feel like there's always one more thing that you need to do before you need to do these things that are a priority to you? Number 2 is the research rabbit hole. And oh my goodness, I do this sometimes too. We are so lucky to have the internet and to be able to look things up. But sometimes that can keep us stuck. So we might keep reading, we might keep researching everything, diet plans, workouts, supplements, podcasts, books, information overload, but we actually never start anything, or we start it, but we don't stay consistent with it. So we don't want to just be informed. We want to make sure that we're doing something and starting something. We don't want to stay stuck in this research rabbit hole and becoming afraid to commit, or just where we have information overload and we don't even know where to start. So that research rabbit hole can be a way to buffer too. It's really distracting us. The next one, number 3, is helping everyone else. So maybe you're someone who always puts yourself last. I know I hear that from a lot of women I talk to. You're the one everyone counts on. You're there for your kids, your partner, your coworkers, your neighbors. And you tell yourself they need me. But what you're really doing is avoiding your own stuff. So maybe you're avoiding your own emotions, your own needs, your own goals. And right now in that moment, it just feels easier to take care of others than to face what's going on with you. But you are important, and you are the only one who is going to take care of you. And we really have to fill our buckets up first before we pour out to others. So I work with a Christian life coach. She also does homeschooling, and she uses this fountain analogy. And in the center is we have to, if you're a Christian, fill our lives up with God first, and we have to take care of ourselves. So those things come first. And then after that, I'm going to pour out to my spouse, after that to my kids, and then after that to everyone else. So that's work, that's extended family. So we really want to make sure that we're having our life in right order. And it's never too late to start this. And again, you may feel resistance to doing something different. You're going to feel resistance if you've always put your kids and your spouse first, for example. It's going to feel really uncomfortable to not do that. And then you're going to be stuck buffering because you don't want to feel that uncomfortable feeling of saying no to someone else when you've always has said yes. But when you have tools to help you work through that uncomfortable feeling, then you're able to prioritize the things that you need to prioritize and say no to the things you need to say no to. And it's not always going to be perfect, but you have to be in that place where you can start putting your health first. All right, the next one is really using anything as a distraction. But here I'm just going to talk about reorganizing or cleaning. But you're finding something to distract yourself from, and it can be something good, but you're using it as a distraction from doing those things you really need to do. So maybe you're I just need to get the house under control and then I can focus on myself. I just need to deep clean this fridge instead of doing my meal prep. I really need to vacuum, and I'm going to do this instead of going for a walk. And so we start to use our environment or anything we can as an excuse to delay taking care of our body and our mind. So notice, is this you? Do you keep putting off your walk, your meal prep, your grocery shopping? and letting other things come first. Number 5 is someone who's always, it's like starting tomorrow, starting next week. You keep putting off your goals until Monday or after this trip or when school's out or when school's back in. But there always seems to be something that you're waiting to happen so then you can start. So when you stay busy with everything, but the one thing that you actually need to start moving forward, that is keeping you stuck. And so we sort of use this way because sometimes starting a health journey, starting to lose weight, starting to change our habits feels really uncomfortable. Our brain likes what we've always have done, even if that thing we've always done hasn't been great for us. Maybe we're always eating something as we watch TV, and that feels comfortable to our brain. So to not do that feels uncomfortable, and you may not even be noticing this because it's not like a blaring emotion like when we're angry, but we're like avoiding that uncomfortable feeling to change. So we're like, I'm just going to start next week. I'm going to start the day after that. This is like too overwhelming. I can't figure this out. I'm going to keep pushing this off. So notice, is that you? And are you avoiding that because you're avoiding feeling uncomfortable and figuring things out? And the last one here, number 6, is getting stuck in perfectionism or like that all or nothing mindset. So you don't want to start until you can do it right. If you can't do a full, whatever that number is, 45-minute hour workout, you're not going to do nothing. If your meals aren't perfectly planned, then you're just screw it. We're just getting takeout tonight. So when we see everything as I'm either all in on this health journey or I'm all out, that doesn't leave us in a good spot because there's a lot of gray areas, friends. You can do a 5 or 10-minute workout and start noticing changes. And that 5 or 10-minute workout can snowball into maybe you wanting to eat more vegetables. So we don't need to have everything perfect. We don't have to have everything all figured out to start. And you can see how when we're afraid of not doing it all right, of not being perfect, there's an emotion there that we're avoiding. We're avoiding that failure and how that failure feels. We don't even want to start it because we probably know we might fail and that doesn't feel good and I don't want to be in that position. So I'm going to buffer and do these other things so I can potentially avoid feeling failure. So we don't notice, a lot of times we're not noticing these thoughts, but if we can sit back and think, we can really discover a lot of things of the way our brain is working. A lot of things happen subconsciously. So we have a lot of thoughts that we don't even know about until we start to do some mindset work. And then we can become a little aware of more and more of them, and we can shift how we're thinking. So if this is resonating with you, and maybe you're realizing that you've been keeping yourself busy to avoid what's really going on or to make those changes that you need to and that you need to stay consistent, I invite you guys to check out my self-coaching system course. So this step-by-step course breaks down how to slow down, how to notice what's going on in your mind. There's a mindset tool that I love using. I love teaching to my clients. I use it myself because our thoughts create our emotions, and our emotions then create our actions. So when we can do this mindset work and we have a tool that we can use, we can start to change our thoughts. And I'm not talking just putting a happy affirmation on our thoughts, but really changing our thoughts to noticing what's true. A lot of times we're just noticing this really narrow road, a narrow thought, instead of our thoughts noticing what is really true in this situation. And when we can do that, it really opens up to changing the way we feel and thus changing the way we act and those steps we take to take care of ourselves. In this course, I also teach you how to do EFT, so emotional freedom techniques, so that you have a way to process your emotions, to have some time and sit down and work through things, but also EFT can be used in the moment when you're feeling stressed or anxious. And there's a couple other tools in the course, but this really sets you up for a way, like the course name says, self-coaching, to be able to coach yourself through emotions, through thoughts, where you're feeling stuck, where you're staying inconsistent. And a lot of times what I have found in people's health journey is it really comes back to mindsets, thoughts, and emotions. And when you have the tools and support to be able to work through that, you're able to have more freedom in those things you do. You're able to take actions that help you to stay more consistent. You're able to have more self-compassion and kindness and not give up on yourself anymore. So if that's you, there's going to be a link down below where you guys can sign up for this course. It's super affordable and really a quick way to learn some tools that can make a huge difference, not only for your health, but I use these tools for everything, for relationships I'm in, for when I'm making decisions and feeling stuck. So these tools can really be used for anything. All right, so I gave you guys lots of different examples that you might be avoiding or distracting yourself. And I want to give you just a few things of what to do instead. One, you just have to become aware of what's going on for you. And that's what I do a lot of times in health coaching calls, is like just asking questions and teasing out information. And when we have this better awareness of what's going on in us, we're able to make different choices. And it's not always like a simple, clean process, but that awareness is super helpful. And you have to slow down. You have to get quiet. And you have to start feeling your feelings and not avoiding them. And even like the smaller feelings, like just feeling uncomfortable, feeling stressed, or maybe when you're just a little anxious. Because a lot of times we're doing things to avoid this because we don't like how they feel. So maybe for you, this could look like journaling for 5 minutes about whatever you're feeling. Maybe this is doing EFT, one of my favorite tools. Maybe this could look like deep breathing. When we take that nice deep belly breath, so breathing in through the nose and we allow our belly to expand, that means we're using our diaphragm. We don't want the breath to come from our chest. Our chest may rise at the very end of a deep breath, but we don't want that chest to rise first. So we want that deep belly breath and that slow exhale. I like to purse my lips and exhale through my lips, almost like you're blowing out through a straw, and really slowing down our breath. And there's really so much research on deep breathing. It's a great tool to use in the moment, at plan times, during meditation. Another thing that can be really helpful is getting out in nature. There's a lot of studies on this, but I know for me, when I get outside and I do a walk or I sit outside, I always just feel so much better. It's very self-regulating. And so you can be out in nature, and naturally that's going to make you feel a little better. And that might be a safer space for you to just spend time noticing your feelings or emotions. So maybe instead of like listening to something, the next time you go outside for a walk, maybe you're just going to spend the beginning of that time like noticing what's been going on for you. How have you been feeling? Noticing, have you been like avoiding or procrastinating things or buffering in some way? Another way is you just might need time to cry. Like, it's okay to cry. And sometimes we need to let that out. And crying can actually be super healing. So if you have things bottled up, let it come out. Let yourself have a cry. And then when you're done, take some breaths. Maybe go outside. So I know this is deep stuff, but you don't have to be afraid of your emotions. They're not going to break you. Our emotions are just sensations in our body. We're going to be okay. And a lot of times, feeling that emotion that feels uncomfortable is the path through healing. It's the path through getting our prefrontal cortex back online and being able to figure out problems and come up with solutions. So getting healthy isn't just about how we eat, how we move. It's about letting yourself feel your feelings and making sure that you're not avoiding those things. Because when we face our feelings, when we face that stuff, when we stop running, that's when real change happens. So the next time you catch yourself being too busy, buffering, distracting yourself, feeling stuck, I want you to pause and ask, what am I really avoiding right now? And that one question can start to change everything. All right, friends, I hope that you guys are having a great week and a great summer. So you're in the driver's seat to your health. So I want you guys to keep on moving. And also, if you haven't, I have a Facebook group called Healthy Beyond 40. I will share that link in the description. Feel free to join there. Post how your summer is going. Post how your health is going. Ask questions. All right, friends, have a good week.